All right, welcome back. Adam writes in, when are you going to reveal the results for group sigil experiment number 1? Mystery School 187, that was 2 years ago. Well, more like 3. If you haven't revealed the results somewhere, you unapologetically wasted a lot of people's time. Well, one could argue that I wasted my own time, because you and many others have been hounding me for almost 3 years for what the sigil was for, which I am going to reveal in this video today, but I don't think you and others understand what the word experiment means, or I just didn't explain it clearly enough, because the entire experiment of that sigil was to see if it will still manifest even if people do not know what it's for. Only the creator of the sigil knows, which was me. That was the experiment, because most, if not all of the time, you either know what a sigil is for, or you knew what it was for, but put it away and had forgotten about it when you went to charge it. So the entire purpose was to see if a group or public sigil could still manifest even if the people charging it do not know what it's for. And so if I revealed what the sigil was for, that ends the experiment. And if you're always asking me what it's about, that means your conscious mind has been dwelling on it. You're not allowing it to manifest. And with that in mind, with people always asking me about it, it's understandable why it's taken 3 years for it to manifest. And so if we ever did another one of these, which I don't know if I would ever want to, then you really need to learn to let it go. You can't dwell on it. You can't bug me about it. You have to let it go and get out of its way so that it can manifest. And it's not just you, it's a whole lot of people. I didn't waste your time, you waste your own time. I didn't drag this out by not telling you what it was for before it came to pass. It was drug out by those who couldn't get their conscious minds off of it. As far as I was concerned, the experiment was still in play. And it's one of the drawbacks of doing a mass group sigil like that, where the public, well, let's see, how many views does it have? Let's see, 6,300, 6.3K. When you have that many people involved in it, then you have that many minds that need to let it go and not be dwelling on it or the outcome. So I think if we're going to do this again, which I'm not entirely sure of, but if I do, I think it's going to be on Patreon, Subscribestar, YouTube memberships, on one of the tiers, so that we have a much, much smaller group size, which would mean far less people dwelling on it, which could bring success about much sooner, so I don't have to be asked about it for 3 years. Because I'm a patient guy. I can go a lot longer than 3 years. I would never tell you what this was for if it never came to pass. And then people would be asking me about it forever. And I don't like to have to explain the experiment over and over and over again. And so I'm doing it here before the reveal in the hopes that if there is a next time, you will understand the experiment part of the experiment. You impatient people who just want me to get to the reveal and tell you what it was for, I'm talking to you. Understand that there's a relation between impatience and your magic not manifesting or succeeding. Lust for results is a symptom of impatience. Not being able to get your mind off of it and let it go is due to being impatient in many ways. And so if you want to have more success with magic, then you need to learn to work on patience. And I mean genuinely work on it. Patience is a virtue that unfortunately is in very short supply these days. All right, so group sigil experiment number 1. What was it for? What manifested and came to pass? Well, it's going to be very anticlimactic. Now, some of you may like it, some of you will hate it, and maybe even unsubscribe over it. There's been a bit of that going around lately. If that's you, then I wish you the best and hope you drop back by someday. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal, but you know how people are these days. So remember when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and I jokingly said that's what the sigil was for, and then immediately walked it back and said, no, that's not what the sigil was for, but it's something along those lines. Well, another bit of big social media news just hit, and on the day that it happened, I tweeted out that the group sigil experiment has succeeded, and I will reveal what it is. I am true to my word. I will reveal it once it happens. And that something is that Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, has stepped down as the head of YouTube. That's it. That was the big reveal. It's what you've been waiting 3 years for. See, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was an experiment, an influential one, but experiment nonetheless, to see if we could get Susan Wojcicki to leave the position of YouTube CEO, which she had announced herself. And I already know that people are going to say, well, Frater, I thought you don't do baneful magic. None of this was baneful. No harm was caused. She didn't leave for medical reasons. I always make sure to bless everyone involved. So she ends up leaving for personal reasons and wanting to spend time with her family and to do things that are more important to her. When neighbors disturb me and I want them to move, I don't want things to be horrible for them. I want to put them in a better place where they'll be happier than where they're at. I want to improve their lives. The win-win. And that was the idea behind this. Because back then when we did this sigil, this channel was having a lot of problems with censorship and everything on YouTube, and in the 3 years that followed. So maybe if she steps down, we can get somebody better in there and things will change. But unfortunately, it looks like the new boss is the same as the old boss, and may even be worse. So really, it was all for nothing except for the experiment part. You do get information from experiments. And my conclusions from it are that, yes, it will work, but if you have too many minds involved, too many people in the group, then it's going to be a lot more difficult, take a lot more time, and so it'll probably be limited to one of the membership tiers if and when we do another experiment. And if you want to be a part of that if and when we do it, head on over to Patreon, Subscribestar, and by the time this is on YouTube, Patreon should have the free trials activated. So you can come on over, try it out, cancel at any time, no obligation. And that's about it. So let me know in the comments what you think. Play nice, be respectful, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
My name's Susan Wojcicki, and I'm used to responding to Susan W blah 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 because no one can ever say my name. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah.